Broadcasting from New York, New York. It's Grant's Rants, Hollywood Talk.
Wendy Williams oddly wants to be on a Miami Housewives reboot. Everyone is over Braunwyn Burke. Which celebs are due for a 2021 comeback? Armie Hammer went from boring to a freak, and I share my latest New York adventure. Jess Rothschild rejoins the Rants. Let the ranting begin. Welcome back to Grant's Rants. I am joined in person by Jess Rothschild from Hot Takes and Deep Dives, sitting across from me. This is nice.
Hello.
Welcome back to Grant's Rants.
Thank you. You know I'm a fan.
I appreciate it. You know, you're one of the few that actually say they listen and do, and I appreciate it.
I love it.
I was just on Jess's podcast. I can't express enough how many people have reached out to me and said, that was your best interview.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted to save this for while we were on the mic. Thank you for having me on, number one, but also no one asks certain questions, and you ask those questions. Well, I appreciate it.
I think it also worked because since Grant has moved to New York, we've been able to hang out a bit. So I know things, I know what you're up to. So therefore it makes it more interesting because I can ask you, I can dig a little deeper. And it's always more interesting when it's on mic and the person's slightly uncomfortable. So it's it's more fun. It heightens the thing, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I love a good interview and I really appreciate it. And all the people that have enjoyed it, thank you. And anyone new that's checking out this podcast from Jess's podcast, welcome. Love to have you. This is going to be just as good. But if you want to check out that podcast, please do. Is there a number associated with it? How can they find it?
It's the one that came out, by the time you're listening to this, it'll be either the most recent one. You'll see it right away. Grant's Rants, it says.
Yeah. Great. Please check it out. Cause I talk a lot about my move and I get pretty real about work and stuff and
dating. We went there.
For a second. Yeah. Not that there's anything to really report, but, we'll see. Let's get into some, ranting, shall we? Some things that are going on. I was watching Wendy Williams this weekend. She started talking about the Real Housewives of Miami. And this is not a show that has been on my radar for a long time. Apparently there are rumors that, there's a Bravo revisiting of this show. I don't need it. I was not a fan of the original. I haven't seen anything in Miami that's really gripped me reality TV wise. But then at the same time, it seems so silly that this show, evaporated the way that it did. It was here it ran for 2011 to 2013, then disappeared. Is it past its prime? Do we need this?
I have never seen a frame of Real Housewives of Miami or OC. I always like to say that.
You like to say that.
Because I was an early adapter of not giving a shit about OC. I've literally never seen it.
Yeah.
Although I've been around, I lived with somebody for many, many years, loved loved the OC. And friends do want to give me a challenge, where to start and just can kind of report on it. However, Miami, I think this was on the air before my time, in the Housewives world. I guess I would have watched it had I been a Housewives super fan at that time. So it kind of predated me. And of course I've heard of Leah Black. I've listened to her a bunch on Jeff Lewis's Sirius show. Let's get to the point here. Wendy Williams, she was basically positioning herself in talking to Andy Cohen in the segment, being Andy, snap, listen up, look at me. She's I'll come on as a friend. I already cleared it with my son. She's not doing this.
I have to say, I'm so tired of seeing successful women seek Andy Cohen's approval and green light. The way they speak to him and the way she handled this on the show too was kind of gross. It was someone's auditioning for one of these roles. And that's so beneath Wendy, in my opinion. Not that Wendy's any amazing A-list talk show host.
I'm going to watch that Lifetime biopic. We should watch it together.
We should, because I'm definitely going to watch
that. That is a Sunday night activity if I've ever heard of one.
Yeah. Especially right now.
And I didn't know that she executive produced it.
Yeah. And she's endorsed all this stuff. So it's going to be real.
Why not write a tell-all and get all the money
Right. I just think it's odd that or smart, but she never addressed it on her own show, what happened with her marriage and the serial cheating. And it's like, that's your audience. And everybody knew something was up, and everyone was so worried about you. And she never acknowledged it, but she did cash in on the Lifetime movie. That to me is a little tacky. But it's business, that's what it is. That's how this world runs. So, if not that, it'll be something else.
That's on at the end of the month.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
There must be more money in it than a book. That's the only thing I can think of.
But like Miami, Real Housewives Miami. I mean,
yeah, I never cared about this show. I know they shot the last season with some drones, which was like really like progressive for the time, which I thought was cool from like a production standpoint. There's rumors they want to put on Phil Collins' ex-wife. I don't care at all about Phil Collins. Never mind the ex-wife. There's mention that this could go on Peacock. Now, who is going to spend $9.99 a month to watch a canceled show on Peacock? Like, who's going to do this?
Who's going to watch Vanderpump Dogs?
Nobody watched Miami to begin with. The ratings weren't that great. I mean, I guess there were more people watching it then than they're watching Dallas right now, live anyway. But I just don't understand the point of it. But what I think they'll do is they'll probably put it behind a paywall on Peacock, because that will make the least sense. But what they should do is, I'd be curious from a creative standpoint. I'd love to get your take on this. Restart Miami all new. We don't need Larsa. We don't need Leo. We just let's see if we can re-energize a city with all new, a complete reset, and then copy that model in the future with other cities that aren't working, like an OC, which has not worked in a while. But eventually these shows will kind of run out of steam, but yet there's still, people still have these shows logged on their DVR. There's still a lot of search around these shows and hashtags instead of killing it. Just, is there a future where we completely reinvent the city? This would be an opportunity to take a test with on Bravo itself for Miami. That's my take. I don't think they'll ever do it, but that's what I think they should do.
I think that's a great idea. And yes, I think that they need to take an entire year off from OC and then dip a toe in before completely recasting it. I don't know if people want to hear from people in that part of the world. At that point, why not just create a Real Housewives of Chicago? You know what I mean?
Right. They aren't finding success with Salt Lake City. So I even wrote it down. I was like, it's kind of losing its edge. I know there are a million memes out there. The Bravo culture is alive and alive, but just the hype around these shows, I think, is dying down. I feel like it's dying down.
I think that people like you and I and our, the people who listen to podcasts, people who read recaps, I think those people are super engaged, but we're not most people. We are a fraction of the actual people, real people. We'll just refer to the general viewing population as real people. I don't think they really care that much. They do like Salt Lake City, however. I've spoken to some real friends of mine who don't listen to any of this. And they're like, oh yeah, they watch it. It's background.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you'd think with how many housewives have been on and all the following and all the social media engagement that these women have, you'd think that when they knock out a new show like Salt Lake City, the ratings would be huge out of curiosity, because it's touched so many people over the years, but it didn't really do that.
No.
They've got their loyal audience and that's it, but I'm just not seeing the hype that once was there. So I don't know what this all means to Miami. I don't think we need the show necessarily, but it is odd that it went out the way that it did. DC, I can understand the way that it went, but Miami, I never understood why they just they never formally canceled it. They were just it's no longer in production. And I was like, okay, well.
DC, if you think about it.
Discontinued reality show.
Right. Well, that's The People's Couch or Flipping Out. Bravo doesn't quote unquote cancel. Vanderpump Rules may never return for the next 10 years. It's not going to be quote unquote.
Lisa will never stand for being part of a canceled show. She will ride that out and say, oh no, there's rumblings, there's rumblings. They're very interested. They're going to find some way to bring it back, according to her, I'm sure.
As far as DC goes, if you think about it, really, it was reinvented as Potomac. So they didn't fully, in that sense, they did reinvent a city.
There you go.
With a whole new take.
And it's doing well for them.
Oh my God.
So let's pull the plug on OC, dim the lights, let go of everybody. Nobody needs to be in any type of contract, and then revisit. But I don't know if the network is in the place to take a risk like that. I don't know, especially with like the production company. I don't know what type of deal they have with them. If anyone's losing out on money for a creative decision, it's not going to happen. So I think it'll be more of the same. And it's a shame. It's an absolute shame. OC, let's talk about this one. Braunwyn. I know you don't watch OC, but how can you miss her being everywhere right now? It's too much.
Just a woman who I do not give it about.
Yeah, I never really cared.
Don't care.
And once I heard that they were basically giving the show to her this season, I was like, well, that's, add that to the list of reasons why I won't be watching. I know I've talked about this so much, and I'm almost like sick of talking about why I don't watch OC. And it's a shame because it used to be one of the best, in my opinion. But it's this Braunwyn, though, she knows how to play the game, and it's now come out in the press. I'm not the first to say this, where it's like, she's just like, she's doing too much. She's too media hungry. I mean, Page 6, Daily Mail, just looking at it today, I saw her like 3 stories on each side of her within the last like 3 days.
Calling the paparazzi, to catch the photo of her and the husband. Yeah, the paparazzi, TMZ drove from West Hollywood to Orange County.
Yeah.
And it was a coincidence that they caught her and the husband. Like,
yeah, oh, you made the sex shop when they were outside that?
Ridiculous.
Yeah. And then they caught her without makeup. Oh, very exciting. And they said that all that had to do with this was the first time after the husband was seen getting handsy with a girlfriend. This is the Braunwyn's first sighting. Is this Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck? Is this like that stuff like from back in the day that would be like, even then it would have been an eye roll. But who are these two?
They're nobody.
0. Like, the ratings aren't even good. It's not like this is the number one show on TV where it's like, okay, it's kind of hard to avoid, like, like the new girl on the highest rated show. Like, there's some controversy around her. Like, I don't know. This must get clicks because I don't know who keeps writing these up.
She really is. I mean, like, if you like truly look up the definition of thirsty in the dictionary, like, I saw her with my own eyes at BravoCon, and she was walking around like she owned the place. Like, she like loves the attention. Like, she thrives on it. And so it's not surprising that she wants to be written up in all the vlogs. It's just annoying because
it's so annoying.
What does she contribute? She hasn't given us anything really.
No. Now she's claiming that they're happily in an open marriage.
Muzzle.
So, okay, after all these other comments were made about her, like, not wanting him to step out on her, surprisingly, he's still going after other women, which I question, but that's another story. I don't know what the deal is with him. She claims she was never attracted to him, but yet they have 7 kids. Like, it's too much. Like, she needs to figure out what her priorities are here. Cause like, that's a big family for her to be parading around Page 6, with all these photo opportunities. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous.
I find it interesting that supposedly one of the kids is experimenting with drag. Like, that is interesting. I could see how she could do her own show or something, but it's like, but also who cares? It's so, who cares?
It's ridiculous. There was a story today of Angelina Jolie and one of her daughters at a Target. And all it was this was like, like Daily Mail. And it was like a grainy video that somebody took from the inside of like an SUV. And then there was some snaps of them going in and out of a Starbucks or something. Big deal. And like those photos were lower quality and like less exciting than the Braunwyn ones, which were like fully like wide shots and great lighting. And granted, she wasn't wearing makeup in one of them, but it was like, you mean, like you were saying, like TMZ is going to go out of their way where the Braunwyn Burke photos are going to be more like widely spread than the Angelina photos, just happenstance. Like, come on.
I don't get it. I don't get the appeal. I don't get why anybody would want to stare at any of these women in OC.
Yeah.
But I guess I have a particular aesthetic of what I'm looking for. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
They're just not my type. What can I say?
Elsewhere in the Housewives universe, now, what's going on with New York? Like they're no longer in production.
So they shut down production this week because one of the cast members tested positive for COVID. Which is not surprising. I mean, it's not surprising that, there is a litany of housewives that have tested positive for, not to mention, Kyle, Dorit, like we could really go on and on.
Dolores.
Dolores?
Yeah. It came out that her and her family had it like over the holidays.
I didn't even know that. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
But basically, RHONY had to shut down production. They were supposed to film like the last episode, or they were supposed to be a final trip.
Yes.
I'm not sure where they were supposed to go, but they basically had to cancel the trip, take the week, or it's probably going to be 14 days. And so what's interesting, when Page Six reported this, what's interesting is Page Six says, we know who the cast member is, but we don't have permission to reveal that here. So I immediately went to Instagram to like kind of monitor the activity.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was Leah immediately. Everyone was like, oh no, it's Winona Singer. It's definitely, but she was filming an interview. She was like in full makeup, like 2 hours before this news broke, filming an interview. And then
who is this?
Ramona.
Okay. Yeah. And she was on Instagram last night dancing, like something was going on.
It's not Ramona.
So I counted her out.
And then it was Leah essentially confirmed it by saying, she admitted yesterday on Instagram story that she said, I haven't left the house in a week.
Yes.
And I was like,
yeah, she was watching Love After Lockup.
Yeah.
I thought it wasn't her because I was like, oh, so she's just stuck in because somebody else in her cast is like, she's quarantining because of somebody else in the cast.
No.
Interesting.
I like the fact that, so historically, they always came back after Christmas and New Year's. They would always come back. And then sometimes the trip would even be like in the new year. And then Bethany, or I think Bethany and Luann, a bunch of them really wanted to tighten the shooting schedule for it just to be right after Labor Day through the beginning of Christmas. That's the way they did not have to come back.
Yeah.
So maybe like the last 2 seasons of RHONY had that schedule. I like that this is a lengthened shoot. Keep shooting until something happens.
Right. As long as something good happens and they air the show within a decent amount of time of shooting, not this 9-month stuff where then at the reunion we're talking about things from 13, 14 months ago. So that's my only concern. I don't like that. That to me is like completely irrelevant. Like,
wait, so in other words,
I like it as close to like current.
So you must have hated Potomac. They held Potomac for so long.
Well, that's why I couldn't connect with it this season because it was all like that had played out in the news like 2 years ago. It felt like not really, but close enough. Round up, but like I mean, yeah, I was like annoyed by that. I think
but they can't air this until they will not put Beverly Hills and New York on the air until Jersey has to like fully be rounding those reunions. It's going to be like April.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
So. Yeah. Cause Jersey only gets like 10 weeks and then like their reunions. They don't get that many weeks anymore. So that, but that still brings us to April easily.
Yeah.
April, May. But yeah, I mean, I've said this for years in this podcast at AfterBuzz to anyone that would listen, like someone could reinvent the reality TV game if they could find a way to close the gap between filming and release and make it more current. There are other reality shows like Big Brother and stuff that are actually live. Like there's a way to kind of, it doesn't have to do live Housewives. That would be a disaster. But there's got to be a way to tighten things because if it is about their lives and so much is public on Instagram and the blogs, like, it's all old news. Like this stuff with Erica and Beverly Hills, like who cares at this point? By the time it airs, in August? Like, am I going to care? I know I'm not because I don't care about it today.
That's so funny.
January.
I know that I'm going to care. I know I'm going to care.
I know. Yeah, we're on different pages at that. When we come back, we're going to talk about more like comeback things. I guess that's the theme of this episode. We're going to talk about some celebrity comebacks that could potentially happen this year, what we think about it. And then a little bit more about things going on in the world, like this Armie Hammer thing. Like
I fully cannot with that.
Yeah, I don't even care who he is, but I'm going to talk about it. That and more in a moment with Jess. Now this.